Well, what do you know? The 2020 presidential election is one big old mess. It seems par for the course, given how this year has gone.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. I am host Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us on Instagram or Twitter, it's at Brian L. Bledsoe. And on Facebook at TrendChat 24/7. So first off, it definitely wasn't a blue wave or a red wave, which I didn't think that was going to happen in the first place. But so neither Joe Biden or President Trump have reached the 270 electoral votes to win this election. And we're waiting on a number of states to still finalize their results, like Nevada, Arizona, which as we're recording here, it's a Friday night, and we are in Amarillo, Texas, and we're heading west. We're actually heading through Arizona and Nevada. So maybe I might stop by and see what in the world is going on over there. Why did it take us so long to count these votes? But it's Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, which I keep forgetting about them, but they haven't called their race either up there, and Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. So for what it's worth, my map had Trump winning by 271 votes, electoral votes, that is. And like I said, neither one are at that point right now, even though Joe Biden is trying to make it seem that it is over. He's doing these speeches and trying to make it seem like everyone let's just move on. Yeah, I won. Let's move on. I'm pretty sure he would love that, but that's not the case. And at this point right now, if we're just going to go from what we from the results that are out right now, it would be Biden winning right now, because as with the votes that are made public, at least he has he's taken the lead in Georgia and Pennsylvania, and he already had a lead in Nevada. And of the states I've mentioned, I think the largest lead is in Arizona at this point. So, but things are changing. Like I said, all these states are still considered too close to call, and so they haven't really been haven't got to the point to where they can say definitively that which side won. But all that being said, here we are having a close election in the hands of government bureaucrats. Just in talking about the people who are counting the votes and people who are in charge of all that. And I mean, let's look at the ultimate example, the epitome of government, and that be Washington, D.C. And so, when you look at the results of different states, you see, okay, Trump won that state by 60, or Biden won this state by, 50, 60, whatever like that. You see all these different results in different states and all that. So, do you know what percentage that Joe Biden won Washington, D.C.? Now, this is not surprising. It's nothing new. But for people that maybe don't know, Joe Biden won Washington, D.C. by 92%. And that is basically that's government's vote. That's the federal government basically saying that's who they want as president. And it shouldn't be a surprise because Democrats are the party of government, of big government, more laws, more regulations, more programs, more this, more. All their policies are all centered around more government. And so it shouldn't come as a shock that Washington, D.C., like I said, the epitome of government, would overwhelmingly vote for Joe Biden. And it doesn't even matter if we're talking about red states, blue states, or whatever like that. If you look at the majority, I said a vast majority of the state capital counties. So, whatever county where the capital of that state, I don't care if it's a red state. 9 times out of 10, I will probably, because if it's blue, if the state is already a Democrat state, then the county is going to be the capital county, I guess I would call it, would be probably the most blue of it. This most Democrat, county in the whole state if it's a blue state. But even if it's a red state, I don't care if it's like, Alabama or Texas, especially because Austin. But yeah, any capital county, even if it's a red state, that it's a blue state. It's a blue county, put it that way. The county itself is blue. The rest of the state could be red, but the capital is Democrat. Because again, Democrats are the party of government. And so that's who we have in charge, basically, of these election results. So whether you're talking about DC, essentially these government officials, if you're talking about DC, because pretty much, it's a small number, even though it's a high percentage going one way or another. It's it's not a big number talking about DC, but basically people who are either working directly or indirectly for the government. So they're essentially just voting to keep their job or grow their job, in DC. But still, I'm mentioning that because right now we having all of these, lots of people who are out there counting, people who are overseeing and all that. And, not getting into all the stories about, potential voter fraud and all this stuff, everything. Because for one, it's just too much to choose from and all that to really get into any of that. I just want to kind of give a general thought and just a question, really, that it shouldn't be much of a stretch to imagine for this scenario to actually be true, I guess. There are thousands of people involved across the country in providing the final results of, the election, whether it's federal, state, county, municipal, where the majority I would say probably the vast majority of government officials or people that work in government vote Democrat. And in an effort to, simply keep their job, job security, or for the quote unquote greater good to get Trump out of office. Isn't it at least plausible that out of the thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people that are willing to do whatever by any means necessary to use whatever power they have, whether it's counting votes, allowing votes, or just supervising people who count the votes, any of that, to use that power to influence an election? As close as this election is in states like, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and there should be, and I know I posted this on social media. At this point, and it seems like it's already going that way. But there should be lawsuits, recounts, audits, all of that to make sure every legal vote is counted. Now, like I said, it seems like we're already going that way anyway, but this needs to continue. And I think President Trump has the fortitude to fight this as long as it takes. I would probably say most Republicans would have folded up by now and conceded. They were like, well, we just need to fight on for another day, and we'll get them next time, or but I don't think President Trump is going to do that. And whether he wins or not, this is one of the appealing aspects about Trump that I respect. I mean, because he's not just going to sit back and go along to get along and let you just do and say whatever you want. Like so many Republicans would. I mean, they would just turn tail and run and apologize for everything that the media and Democrats deem offensive or unbecoming of the office. And look, I mean, people can, you can spare me with you should just let it go and, let's move along. Let's, just concede and give up, basically. I mean, Democrats haven't accepted 2016 to this day. And so here we are just talking about a couple of weeks or a month or so. So yeah, you can just miss me with all that. And one thing I'm hoping at the end of the day that, whether it's, investigations or whatever about these mail-in ballots and making sure everything counts and all of that. And I'm pretty sure this is going to go to the Supreme Court in one way or another in one of the states, if not all the states. So yeah, they need to do as much as they can and do everything that within their power to make sure this is there's no way you're going to get this 100% correct. There's going to be things that you just can't get to making sure that every single vote across the country is correct. Because for one, you have the states and they all have different ways as far as how they tabulate the votes and all of that. And so, but we could do more than what we're doing right now. And I think whether it's with lawsuits or whether it's with the recounts or the audits, especially the audits, I mean, I would not be against recount, especially in these 5 states in particular, but if not more, I'm not against just recounting like every single vote and auditing every single vote to make sure that it's actually there's a legal vote and that it should be counted. So
Hey guys, this is Morgan Zegers, the founder and CEO of Young Americans Against Socialism. We are a nonprofit organization working to preserve a free, fair, and prosperous America for generations to come, all by equipping our generation with the truth about socialism. If you're interested in watching our educational videos, donating to the cause, joining the Ask Coalition, or becoming a contributor, you can do all of these things at fightsocialism.org. We hope you'll join us in this crucial fight for the future of our great country. Thanks!
This is Dana Lash, and you're listening to Trend Chat.
We here at Trend Chat, we are proud to be part of the 1776 militia. Check out 1776united.com. They have a wide array of clothing, hats, shirts, art, and more that is fiercely patriotic and stylish to match. Go to 1776united.com, and if you put in the code TRENDCHAT, you get 20% off your first purchase. Again, 1776united.com, put in the code TRENDCHAT for 20% off.
All right, so well, I'm pretty sure you've heard and going to hear your fair share of all the election coverage and all of that. So, but one thing we didn't hear a lot about, mainly, and it's, it's not surprising because you're focused on the presidential election because that's hasn't been decided. But a number of states, a lot of them at least, have what you call ballot measures on there that the people vote for in different states as well. And I looked at a couple of them, and I guess I had a few that I wanted to mention that just caught my eye. And so first off, Alabama, Georgia. I won't say Georgia. Alabama, Georgia's on my mind. No, Alabama, Colorado, and Florida, at least from what I've seen, they had ballot measures to require citizenship to vote, which is like, duh. That really shouldn't be controversial, even though some of those were the percentage that voted for it. It wasn't, I mean, I think some were like 70 or whatever, but like that shouldn't be that shouldn't be a difficult one to choose. I mean, you should be a citizen to vote, but there's some that believe that everyone should vote. I mean, going back to talking about the presidential, I mean, Joe Biden talking about count every vote. No, don't count every vote. Some of those votes are not legal. I need to count every legal vote. That's why I said it that way before. But, but it's not surprising. Democrats just want to count every vote because they know that'll help them out more. So anyway, but speaking of Colorado, which this is kind of sad. I mean, kind of sad. This is sad. In Colorado, they had some other ballot measures, but there was two that kind of caught my attention, mainly because at least how they were listed, they were right next to each other. And it seems that Colorado, the people out there, want to protect wolves, but not babies. So they voted to, I guess, protect gray wolves for, I don't know, maybe they're endangered species or whatever. But they voted to protect the wolves, but right after that, they did not vote to ban late-term abortion. They voted no to ban late-term abortion. So, yeah, like I said, they want to protect the wolves, but kill the babies, basically. Which is, like I said, that's the saddest one of all, just seeing that. But it did decrease the income tax, though, so, at least they saved some money. So, but still want to, have no, and it wasn't close either. I mean, it was like 59% voted no to not ban late term abortion. But yeah, but in talking about abortion, Louisiana voted to ban abortion rights. So that's a good thing. So I guess I'll kind of read what that ballot measure said. So it said, adds language to the Louisiana Declaration of Rights that says that nothing in the state's constitution shall be construed to secure or protect a right to an abortion or require the funding of abortion. So that's a good thing as far as the abortion issue. So I guess, back to Florida. Florida voted to increase the minimum wage to $15 by 2026. And that's just a lack of basic economics. But then again, you have people on the left, and Democrats have been pushing for raising the minimum wage for years now. And just like I say, it's the lack of basic economics where they're just, the ones that are going to feel it the most are small businesses, where they're not going to be able to pay this, or if they do, they're going to have to raise the price on whatever products and services that they're doing. And yeah, so the people who are going to get that raise, or at least think they're going to get a raise, then have to pay twice as much for whatever that they would normally paying for, just to pay for that huge increase in the minimum wage. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it might be like other places where they figure out this doesn't work and then they'll get rid of it. But so Nebraska and Utah, this is something where I guess this is one of those where you had outdated language that you just wanted to clarify and get it, finally get it off the record. So Nebraska and Utah voted to remove the slavery exception. So it was, and both of them read the same way, actually. It said, removes language from the Nebraska or also the Utah Constitution that allows the use of slavery and involuntary servitude as criminal punishments. So they finally just took that off the books. And then you have Rhode Island vote to remove Providence's plantation from its official name, which I didn't even know that was the official name. But yeah, so I guess the word plantation in particular probably was the one thing that really was the reason why they wanted to take that out the name. And Mississippi voted to change their state flag, which before had a part of the flag had like the Confederate flag in there, and so they decided to change the flag, and now it's going to be, I forgot the colors, but it's going to have like a magnolia in the middle of it and all that, so that should be nice. So I actually have one, like if I was able to put forth a ballot measure, I got one I think should happen, even though given the nature and given how things have been going, I think it's not going to happen. But before we get to that, let's hear a word from Expressions.
This is Lacey Williams, the founder and president of Expressions magazine, letting you know that you can order our quarterly magazine and support female conservatives by visiting express-conservatism.com, or you can follow us on social media. On Instagram with the username of expressions_conservemag, or on Twitter with the handle of @express_conserve. Get your copy today.
What's going on, folks? This is Colin Noir, and you're listening to Trend Chat.
Trend Chat is proud to be a part of the hashtag Life Tribe or Culture of Life as they seek to celebrate life through the world of fashion. Go to COL1972.com and get 10% off your purchase when you enter the code Trend Chat.
All right, so if I was able to put forth a ballot measure, I have one in particular, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure someone has made this, this suggestion, at least for something to be considered for a state. Because, well, for one, you already have it in 2 states that I know of in particular, at least I think it's just 2. But, so my proposal would be, and like I said, I don't think this is going to happen because things are actually going the opposite direction, and I'll get into that as well. So I think electoral votes should be split. So Nebraska and Maine have split electoral votes. So I think as of right now in Nebraska, I forget how many total, but President Trump got the majority of those electoral votes, but I think Joe Biden got like one of those votes. I forget how many Nebraska has in total. So, but I do remember Maine. So Maine has 4 electoral votes, and Joe Biden has 3, but President Trump gets 1. And so anyway, I'm saying that because I feel that we have far too much where you have a majority of the state in one direction, but it's basically being dictated by one section of the whole state. So case in point, Illinois. If you look at the map for Illinois, it is mostly red. It is red throughout the whole state, except there's a little blue at the top right corner, and it's Chicago. That's blue. And because there's enough people in that one county, those few counties at the top corner, they dictate everything that goes on for the rest of the state as far as electoral votes go. And so let's take, for instance, so Georgia's not, I guess, hasn't been called yet, but if you look at the state of Georgia, look at it, and it kind of goes back to what I mentioned as far as the capital county being blue and everywhere else and all that. So you look at Georgia, the counties around Atlanta, all of those are blue. Meanwhile, the rest of it, there's some other blue counties as well, but most of the state is red. And I mean, can't say Texas too much because it's basically South Texas is a blue all down. But trying to think of another state in particular. But yeah, like I said, just going back to what I mentioned earlier about the capital counties, and what I'm proposing, what I think states should consider is splitting those votes. So look, for one, the majority of, so let's say, for instance, let's go back to Illinois. So Illinois has, like I said, a couple of counties that are blue, even though they have the majority of a big chunk of the population is from those couple of counties surrounding Chicago. And so, yeah, the majority of the electoral votes should go to whoever. So in this case, it would be Joe Biden. But they should at least have a percentage go to the Republican, in this case, be President Trump. At least a small percentage, a minority percentage. So I don't know, like 10 to 20%. So let's just keep it simple, because I ain't trying to do math right now. So let's say if it's 10 electoral votes, I know Illinois doesn't have just 10, but I'm just going with whatever state that has 10, put it that way. So if a state has 10 and you have one county or a couple of counties that has a very thick population density that basically has turned the whole state blue, meanwhile the rest of the state is red. Okay. So out of the 10 electoral votes, 7 to 8 of those electoral votes should go to the Democrat, because it's still, that's the majority. But at least let 2 or 3 of those 10 go to a Republican, because there were some representation there. It'll basically be what we have as far as electoral college, as a whole in America. It would just be on the state level. That's all. So, I mean, that's what I think would be fair. It would basically be the same thing like the electoral college, where it doesn't have where the majority, just a majority rule, or call a mob rule. It would be more fair to give the minority some voice in as far as the election goes, and I think it will be fairer that way. Now, so I'm saying that, right? But like I said, I don't think, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure someone has already mentioned that before, has proposed that and whatnot, and I don't think we're going to ever, even if it comes up, it's not going to pass, because we're going in the exact opposite direction right now. Matter of fact, going back to some of those ballot measures, Colorado and Mississippi, they're moving towards like the popular vote. So they're moving towards the just majority rule direction. And because they had ballot measures that were something to that, akin to that. So, and it's, it's ironic, I will say, that some of the people who are for this popular vote or this majority rule, a lot of the support come from minorities out of that, which is surprising, because you would think, people, black, brown, Asian, whatever, you would think minorities would value the concept of minority rights, like the Electoral College or the filibustering legislature. Those are two things that are to help the minority, to give them some say in whether it's in legislature or as far as the election goes. But that's not the case, But I guess now that minorities are becoming more of the majority as a whole, I guess they want that same power of the majority that when they were minorities, they would complain about. But now they seem like, now I kind of want that power now. So, it's quite hypocritical, actually. But, So, before we go, matter of fact, before we talk about my experience as an election judge, let's get to the portion where we shout out these locations. Matter of fact, now I actually have the list in front of me where I think in the past two I've forgotten to even look at. So here we go. All right, turn that down. All right, it's a little loud. All right. So as far as the cities go, I think all of these are in the United States this time. So, Longmont, Colorado, Los Angeles, California. I don't know how to say this in Washington, but it's Tonaskeet, Washington, Fort Worth, Texas, Baton, Texas, Buffalo, New York, Grand Prairie, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Little Elm, Texas, and Arlington, Texas. A lot of Texas, which is great. Appreciate everyone listening. And that's it's because as far as the countries go, you had 91% for United States this week, which is higher than it's been. It's been almost like 50% because it was other countries, but I guess with the election going on, I don't know. But so the three countries is India still, Germany, and Switzerland. So that was it. So matter of fact, I finished that before the song ended. But right on time. There we go. So okay, all right, okay, all right. So I don't know if I mentioned in the last episode about being an election judge. So on election day, I was at the polls from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because that's what the hours were in Tarrant County. And I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning because we wanted to be there at 5:30 so we could set up the polls and all that. And so it was so I was a alternate election judge. So in my precinct, because I'm a precinct chair, and the way they determine who is the election judge and who is the alternate election judge is depending on who is the majority in your precinct. So my precinct in Arlington, Texas is 60-40. At least I don't know what it was this Tuesday, but it was 60-40 Democrat. So the election judge is Democrat and the alternate is Republican. So it was I've never done any of this before. Like I have never been a poll worker, never been a poll watcher, none of this. So all this was new, and here I am. I'm basically starting at close to the top, being an election judge, albeit an alternate, but still close to being one. And I must say the experience was pretty nice. It was something where I look forward to doing it again, because actually being there and seeing how the process works and checking people in and getting people to where they can, make their choices and scanning the ballot and all that, and then the paperwork and all that. After looking at it, it seemed overwhelming before, but just looking at it go step by step, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I know if I was the election judge myself, I know it's going to be a learning curve as far as getting that all together, and that would be something, because I didn't have to do a lot of the paperwork, because being the alternate, I just had to sign a couple of things as an official, a secondary official or whatever like that. But yeah, like I said, I would like to do that again. Actually, I don't know when the next time would be. I know there in Arlington there is a runoff in December for city council, which I was, well, you know what? This is something I haven't thought about. I didn't think about mentioning, but so we have a runoff for a city council seat, and we have two people where so we have a guy named Anton Lane, and then we have a woman who, the incumbent, I guess, her name is Victoria Farrah Myers. And yeah, I'm telling you right now, I don't know much about either one, except for the part about Anton, who's basically a socialist. His positions as far as the same old defund the police and all of this, and he just is far left guy. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to vote in that city council election, and definitely don't want that guy to be in the city council. But I know I won't be able to do that election even if I wanted to, but I can only imagine. So, that's another thing about being an election judge, because I was there the whole day. We only had 200 people the whole day. So, I mean, there was a steady stream of people. So there was probably at least one or two people in there the whole time, but we didn't have a line or nothing like that. We had a line for maybe for 10 minutes. We had a line at the very beginning, and then at lunchtime. But even then, it wasn't long. It didn't go outside the building, nothing like that. And so, yeah, it was just had 200 people. And now that was for a general election with president, senators, all this, representatives and all that. I can only imagine, which is sad, but it shouldn't be the case. But I'm guessing it's probably going to be the case. I guess depending on how many locations they have open. But a runoff for a city council spot, a runoff election, I can't imagine how many people are actually going to show up for that. I'm going to try to show up. Like I said, I mentioned why, because of one of the candidates. But yeah. So anyway, like I said, that's something I definitely wouldn't mind doing in the future. Don't know when or whatnot, but yeah. So anyway, I appreciate everyone listening. We are here at the end, and I don't know when the next episode is going to be. Probably be next week. But yeah, as we see where we are with this election by next week, who knows? We may have a winner, maybe we're not. Maybe we'll be in the middle of a bunch of lawsuits. Anyway, so I haven't mentioned this, but every Sunday, me and Harper Price, we do a podcast or video stream on Facebook for Blexit, Texas. So if you go to Blexit, Texas Facebook page, you'll see us on there every Sunday around 7 p.m. So check us out on there. And until next time, we'll chat with you later.